Sir, look, I'm not looking...
I have to commit an unlawful act and prevent you from performing your unlawful duty to be in violation of obstruction.
Currently, right now...
So what's the unlawful act?
Right now, it came in as a suspicious person.
Okay, and what statute is suspicious?
On January 4th, 2019, a man who runs a YouTube channel called Police State New Jersey was filming outside the Richard C. Clement Law Enforcement Center in Toms River, New Jersey. He records government buildings from public spaces, a lawful activity known as a First Amendment audit. Officer Frank Moschella of the Toms River Police Department walked up and began asking what he was doing. Welcome to Badge Done Right, where we spotlight law enforcement done right. If you're new here, hit subscribe and join us. Now let's get into the story.
How's it going?
What are we doing?
Taking some pictures? Working on a story for the township?
You're working on a story for the township.
Well, about the township for me.
For you?
Yes.
What are you making, a documentary?
It's a news story.
A news story?
Yeah.
You have ID?
I always have ID.
Okay, can you provide that?
No.
You can do whatever you want, but as far as, I just need to identify who you are.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
I do, sir.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
And what law is that?
Well, it came in as a suspicious person. Anytime we
Okay.
investigate as to somebody calling in about suspicious, we need to at least identify who it is we spoke to. You're not in trouble in any way, shape,
Right.
or form.
Okay, then I don't need to give ID.
Well, you do.
What law is
because
that?
I need to know who you are.
What law is
If I'm
that?
investigating a crime, it's actually called obstruction if you fail to provide
Wrong.
documentation. No, sir,
Quote
that's not wrong.
quote that statute.
I already
Quote
told you
obstruction.
what it is.
No,
I'm
apparently you
gonna
don't.
explain it to you.
Moschella tells the man he could be charged with obstruction for refusing to provide identification. New Jersey's obstruction law, Section 2C, 29(1), makes it an offense to purposely obstruct an official function by flight, intimidation, force, violence, physical interference, or another independently unlawful act. New Jersey courts read those triggers narrowly. In the 2006 case, State v. Crawley, and again in the 2007 case, State v. Williams, the New Jersey Supreme Court held that when an officer acting in good faith orders you to stop, you can't lawfully flee, even if a judge later finds the stop was unconstitutional. But here's the key. New Jersey has no stop and identify law. So simply refusing to give your name or ID is not, on its own, an unlawful act, which means it can't be obstruction. In the 2020 case, Bryant versus Camden County Police Department, a New Jersey appellate panel concluded that a person could not be arrested for obstruction merely for declining to hand over identification when he wasn't suspected of a motor vehicle violation. Bottom line, refusing to show ID here was not a crime.
Sir, look, I'm not looking...
I have to commit an unlawful act and prevent you from performing your unlawful duty to be in violation of obstruction.
Currently, right now...
So what's the unlawful act?
Right now, it came in as a suspicious person.
Okay, and what statute is suspicious?
It has nothing to do with it.
Yes, it does. What's the
investigating
law?
to determine what's going on. So all
I'm taking
asking is
pictures in
identify
public.
who you are. You're telling me you're doing something.
Okay.
That's fine, but I need to verify who you are.
No, you don't.
So in the event that something turns into something, I at least can say, all right, I went out and I spoke with this person. You're making this more difficult than it needs to be.
No, you are.
Not really.
You can come out and say, good morning, sir, how you doing? Taking pictures, enjoying your First Amendment right to take pictures in public?
What was the first thing that I said to you today?
What are you doing?
I said, no. I said, how are you, sir?
Okay, how are you?
Did I not say that to
Yeah,
you?
you did.
So you just asked me what did I do, and I already told you what I said.
Okay.
I said, how are you? And I said, what are we doing? And you told me what you're doing. And I
And
said,
that's
that's
it.
fine. And I explained to you why I need documentation from you, just to verify who you are.
Okay, but you
That's
don't need
it.
to verify who I am.
I unfortunately do, yes.
No, I have the right to privacy in
You
public.
do, to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is within that degree. Yes.
But again, if we're investigating it for suspicious because somebody called it in, it's not like we just...
It doesn't
came
matter if
out
somebody
here
called
and-
it in.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so if you're outside on your property mowing your lawn and somebody says you're suspicious and the police come by, you have to give them your ID?
To verify that you live there, yeah.
No, you don't.
Yes,
It's
you
your
do.
property.
Well, you're entitled to think whatever you want.
I'm entitled to follow the law.
Moschella then argues the man has to identify himself because he was reported as a suspicious person. But being called suspicious doesn't create a legal duty to show ID. Even in states that do have stop and identify laws, the Supreme Court has drawn a firm line. In the 1979 case Brown versus Texas, the court threw out a conviction because the officer had no reasonable suspicion the person had done anything wrong. He simply thought the situation looked suspicious. That, the court said, isn't enough under the Fourth Amendment. In the 2004 case, Heibel versus 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada, the court did uphold an identify requirement, but only during a valid stop backed by specific reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. And as the court explained in the 1989 case United States versus Sokolow, an officer needs more than a hunch, real, articulable facts. Filming in public, or being labeled suspicious, doesn't clear that bar.
Which is, okay, and again, if we're investigating this because somebody called it in as a suspicious person, we just need to verify who you are and identify who you are.
And what statute is suspicious? What law am I breaking?
Sir, I'm not, I already went over this with you. I don't need to go
And you
into
haven't
detail.
justified yourself yet.
I do. And listen, again, if you fail to provide your documentation, you can be placed under arrest for obstruction.
You think so?
Oh, I know so.
You know so.
So I'm going to ask you again, can you please provide your documentation? Otherwise, you are going to be placed under arrest for obstruction.
I do not have identification on me.
Well, so then you lied to me, because when I first asked you if you had identification on you, you told me, yes, I do.
Oh, I have fingerprints and retinas.
No, that's incorrect. I asked you, do you have documentation? Do you have identification?
I do not.
You can go back into your video recorder and you can verify. Do you have ID?
I always have ID.
Okay, can you provide that?
No.
Okay, so who are you then? Because we're going to have to verify who you are.
I'm not going to answer any questions.
And here's the other problem. Now you lied to me, so now I have a concern as to whether you're being truthful and honest with me. Do you understand?
Okay, well, you're not being truthful and honest with me because you haven't quoted a law yet that I'm required to show you ID.
I already explained to you what I need to
Supervisor.
do. If you fail to, there's actually a supervisor right there.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't need to have a supervisor anyway because I asked you for who you are.
Well, I'm
You
asking
lied to
for a
me about
supervisor.
Who you are, and I told
I did
you,
not lie about who I am.
I explained to you what happens if you fail to provide documentation. Now, if I find out you're lying to me, now you could be charged with hindering.
Do we have a
which
sergeant?
means giving failed documentation.
At one point, Moschella claims the man could be charged with hindering if he lied about whether he had ID on him. New Jersey's hindering law, Section 2C, 29.3, does make it an offense to give false information to police to hinder your own investigation or prosecution. But the model jury instructions require that the person knew they could be charged with an actual offense and lied to avoid it. Since there was no crime here to begin with, a court would very likely find that even a lie about carrying ID wouldn't amount to hindering. In other situations it can, for example, giving officers a fake name and date of birth while being arrested for a real offense, has supported hindering convictions in New Jersey. But that's not this situation.
No.
You have two sergeants, right?
Two?
Sergeant
Okay.
Ruiz, what's going on?
So what is your name and what is your information?
I'm not answering any questions. Personal information.
Okay, well then you're going to be placed under arrest for obstruction.
And what law is that,
Sir?
Sergeant?
He doesn't need to explain it to you.
Well,
I
he
already
does
told you
actually.
that's what it is.
He actually does.
All right, just hold on a second.
So let's find out.
Can I just ask you what you're doing here?
Yes, sir. I'm in public taking pictures of a public building, expressing my First Amendment right to freedom of press.
Okay.
I'm here to actually file a complaint.
Okay. You have that right. You have all those rights. You just
Thank you. Well, he appears to tell me that I don't.
Now, just so you know, there are areas of this building that are posted.
Absolutely.
That are off limits.
Yep, like
All
the
right?
back of that parking lot there, it says
you
restricted
obviously
area, can't go back
enter
there.
those areas or video those areas.
Absolutely.
Other than that, if you want to walk around with your camera, you can walk around with your camera.
And I don't need to show ID to do that.
You don't have to show ID right now. No, sir. All right, sir?
How's that?
Well, that's incorrect, actually, in that respect.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Is it?
It's
So your
different than
sergeant's
what you
wrong.
explained to my
So your sergeant's
source
wrong?
from what we were going to.
So your sergeant's...
We're not going to get into an argument here.
Sure.
So we're all set,
Because
all right?
I was just threatened with arrest for not providing identification. It's a violation of Fourth Amendment.
All right, sir. But now we're clear on what's going on, right?
Is he?
Are we all clear?
Is he clear? Because I'm clear and you're clear.
Everybody here is clear, sir.
Very good, sir.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
Continue what you're doing.
I appreciate your
All
help.
right? You have a good day.
You too.
All right?
Thank you
We're
very
all
much.
clear, guys.
Thank you.
All right?
Have a nice day, officer.
You too, sir. Have a great
Hope you learned something today.
Here's the turn. Sergeant Dan Ruiz, Moschella's supervisor, steps in, and according to reporting on the incident, corrects his own officer not once but twice, siding with the man who was filming. Ruiz lets him go on his way. When the man later asks Moschella for his name and badge number and doesn't get an answer, it's Sergeant Ruiz who steps back in and provides the identifying information for both officers. On January 8, 2019, Toms River Police Chief Mitchell Little addressed the video on the department's Facebook page, saying the matter was being investigated and that any conduct found to violate law or policy would be corrected. What discipline, if any, followed isn't publicly known. It would be easy to make this whole story about the officer who got the law wrong, and he did get a lot wrong. He pointed to statutes that didn't apply, treated the word suspicious as if it were probable cause, and leaned on threats the law doesn't support. For context, public reporting on this incident noted that a state use of force database compiled by force.nj.com found Moschella had used force more often than the average New Jersey officer, and that people he arrested were more likely to be injured than those arrested by his colleagues. Whether that traces back to a gap in training or something else, the video shows an officer who needed a firmer grasp of the rules he's sworn to enforce. But that's not really the story. The story is the sergeant. Because the fastest, most effective accountability in that entire encounter didn't come from a lawsuit or a headline or even the camera. It came from another officer in the same uniform, one who listened, recognized his own colleague had it wrong, and corrected it on the spot, in front of everyone. That's the version of policing that stops a bad interaction from turning into a bad outcome. And credit to the man behind the camera, too. He stayed calm, he knew the law cold, and he made his point without ever losing his composure. A badge doesn't make the decision. The person behind it does. One officer showed you what it looks like to get it wrong. His sergeant showed you what it looks like to make it right. That's the story out of Toms River, New Jersey. Proof that good policing isn't the exception. It's a choice officers make every single day. Subscribe, stay sharp, and remember, accountability works both ways. I'll see you in the next story.